We'd only been married for 28 days when she stood at our kitchen counter and told me she was leaving. Not leaving me. No, she made that clear. Just for a little while, she said, as if that made it better. As if it softened the blow of her words. Jason's sick. Stage 3. He doesn't have anyone else. Jason, her ex. The man she cried over the night before our wedding. The man who once cheated on her with her best friend. And now suddenly, she had to go play Florence Nightingale? For him? I stood there, gripping the coffee mug I hadn't even sipped yet, watching her pack a duffel bag like it was some noble quest. She kissed my cheek, said, "You understand, right?" and walked out before I could answer. No, I didn't understand. I didn't understand how a wife chooses her ex over her husband. I didn't understand how vows could be so fragile, how love could evaporate with a single text message. I didn't understand how I became a placeholder in my own marriage. She was gone a week, then 2, then silence. My calls went unanswered, my texts unread. Friends tried to comfort me, said I was strong, that she'd come back. I didn't want her to come back. Not anymore. In the silence, something inside me hardened. I stopped leaving the porch light on, stopped checking my phone. And then one Sunday morning, when the sun cut through the blinds and the world felt colder than it should, I realized the woman I married never really existed. She was a story I wanted to believe, a lie I loved. 3 months passed. I started moving forward, rebuilding my life, quietly, methodically. She didn't call, didn't visit, until one rainy Thursday. I opened the door, and there she was, hair wet, face pale, belly swollen, pregnant. She didn't say a word, just looked at me like she expected me to pull her into a hug, or maybe break down and cry. But I didn't. I stepped aside, silent. And as she walked in, still dripping from the rain, she whispered. I didn't know where else to go. I looked at her, stone-faced. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. I simply said, "You should have thought about that before crawling into bed with a dying man." Her lips parted, trembling. "It's not like that." "No." I cut her off. "Then tell me what it is like." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I stood there, arms crossed, watching her struggle for words. And just as the silence grew too heavy, I added one more thing. "Let me guess. You thought I'd wait forever." She didn't answer, but I could see it in her eyes. She had, and that was her first mistake. She sat on the edge of the couch like a stranger in someone else's home. Her eyes scanned the walls she used to decorate, the photos she used to frame. Now, those frames were empty. The walls, bare. She noticed. Of course she did. "You redecorated," she muttered. I didn't answer. I just poured myself a glass of water and sat across from her. She finally looked at me. "I know how it looks." "You don't," I cut in. "Because if you did, you wouldn't be here acting like we can talk our way through this." She rubbed her belly instinctively. "I didn't plan any of this, okay?" Jason was dying. I felt responsible. Guilty. Guilt. That's what she called it. Guilt was her excuse for ghosting me. Guilt was her excuse for betraying me. I let her talk, though. Let her dig her own grave. "He asked for me," she went on. "Said I was the only person who ever really knew him. He wasn't trying to come between us. He just needed someone. And I didn't know he was still in love with me until it was too late." Too late. I raised an eyebrow. She hesitated. We were both vulnerable. It wasn't supposed to happen. But I swear, I thought about you every day. I leaned back in the chair, arms folded. "You thought about me while you were lying in bed with your ex?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did." Silence filled the room. "I came back because I realized I made a mistake," she said softly. "Jason, he died last week." I nodded once. "And now you're here." She flinched. The timing wasn't lost on either of us. "I'm not asking you to take me back," she said quickly. I have nowhere else to go. My family won't speak to me. His friends blame me for his death. I didn't know I was pregnant until it was too late to." She stopped herself. "I don't expect anything. I just hoped you might help." I stood up and walked toward the window. Rain drizzled lightly against the glass. I watched it for a moment, then said without turning around, "You didn't just break vows. You broke me." She sniffled behind me. "I know." "No," I said, finally turning to face her. You don't. You don't know what it's like to sit alone in a house built for two. To question every word, every moment, every kiss. To wonder if you were ever real at all, or just someone filling time between mistakes." She didn't respond, just stared at me like she didn't recognize who I'd become. And maybe she didn't. Because the man she left behind died weeks after she did. This man, the one standing in front of her now, he didn't know her anything. I'll give you one night, I said. You sleep. You eat. Then tomorrow, you figure out where you're going next. Her mouth fell open. You're kicking me out? While I'm pregnant? No, I said coldly. I'm giving you exactly what you gave me. A temporary goodbye. Only this time, it's permanent. She barely touched the food I left out. Slept on the guest bed like she didn't belong anymore, which was true. Morning came with an awkward silence. The kind that wraps around two people with nothing left but broken pieces. I didn't bother waking her. Instead, I spent the morning in my office, packing up the last of the divorce paperwork I'd never filed. Back then, I thought I'd wait. Thought she'd come back and explain everything. Now, the ink couldn't dry fast enough. At noon, she wandered in, still wearing the same clothes from yesterday. Her eyes darted between the manila envelope on the table and the suitcase near the door. You're serious, she said, almost like she was surprised. You thought I was bluffing? I asked. You left me, remember? That wasn't a pause. That was a choice. Her arms wrapped around her belly. I was scared. I thought he was dying, and maybe I still had unresolved feelings. I got swept up, but it didn't mean I stopped loving you. Didn't mean you loved me either. I shot back. Love isn't what you say. It's what you choose when it's hard, when it's messy, and when it counted, you didn't choose me. She sat down slowly. So that's it. One mistake and you're done. I laughed, dark, bitter. One mistake? You disappeared, lied, slept with someone else, got pregnant, and now you want me to forget all of it and play savior. She clenched her jaw. I never said that. You didn't have to, I replied. You just showed up, hoping guilt would do the talking. She blinked, stunned into silence. I walked over to the envelope and slid it toward her. There's a list of local shelters and support programs in there. One of them's already expecting your call. I told them you'd be coming today. She stared at the envelope like it might burn her fingers. You made arrangements? I'm not heartless, I said. But I'm not stupid, either. You made your choice, and I made peace with that. You were the only man who ever treated me right, she whispered. And look what you did with that, I answered. Her voice cracked. So that's it. You're just going to erase me. I stepped closer, meeting her eyes. You erased yourself the moment you walked out for him. I'm just living like you never came back. The doorbell rang, right on time. I called you a ride, I said calmly. They'll take you to the shelter. You can get started there. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. She walked to the door, pausing for just a second. I wish I'd known what I had before I lost it. I didn't answer, because that wasn't my regret to carry. She opened the door, stepped into the daylight, and left again. But this time, it wasn't her choice. It was mine. She was gone. Not with a dramatic slam of the door. No parting kiss. No lingering stare. Just the soft click of the door handle. And the distant hum of a rideshare pulling away. That's how it ended, quietly. Fitting, considering how she left me the first time. But this time, I wasn't the one left behind. I was the one who let her go. I sat back down, the envelope still on the table. Inside it wasn't just the shelter information. There were also the divorce papers, now updated and ready to be filed. I'd added one final clause, abandonment. My lawyer said it was airtight. The baby wasn't mine. That fact alone made everything cleaner. I wouldn't owe a cent in support. Not a visit. Not a signature. Nothing. But the real power play? That came next. You see, before she left, we'd just finished closing on a property. A new house. One she insisted on buying together. Said it would be the foundation of our forever. I believed her, and she believed I'd never follow through on the paperwork without her. But what she didn't know, I never added her name to the deed. I withdrew it days after she left. I still remember the look on her face when she said, "You wouldn't do anything rash, right? Just wait for me." So I waited, all the way to the bank. I called my realtor that afternoon. "Hey, remember that house we bought? I'm putting it up for sale." "You sure?" she asked. "It's a beautiful place." "I'm sure," I said. "I've already moved on." That house had been a symbol of us. But now, it was an asset. And soon, a windfall. She reached out a few days later, just a message. Simple. Short. "Hey, can we talk?" I didn't reply. A day later, another one. I heard from the title office. Why wasn't I on the paperwork? Now she knew. And I wanted her to. I waited 2 days before responding. "You left." I made sure I wouldn't be stuck cleaning up after your mess. She replied in seconds. So that's it. You're selling the house without me. Correct. But we picked it together. And you gave it away the moment you crawled into someone else's bed. She tried calling next. I let it ring. Then I blocked her. Not out of anger. Not out of pettiness. Out of clarity. She had made her bed. I just made sure she wasn't laying in mine. The house sold within a week. All cash. I walked away with profit and peace. No drama. No tears. Just the clean satisfaction of knowing that this time, the one left in the rain, wasn't me. Weeks passed. No more calls. No more texts. I thought she finally got the message until she showed up. Again. It was a Saturday. I was outside trimming the hedges of my new place. Smaller. Quieter. No. Ghosts of the past in the walls. Then I saw the car. Her stepping out, belly even bigger now. Nerves practically radiating off her skin. She walked up like she belonged here. Can we talk? She asked, already scanning the front yard. Like she expected to see the life she lost waiting inside. I didn't say anything. Just opened the gate and let her follow me around to the back, where the porch overlooked a peaceful little pond. She stood behind me for a while, watching, breathing shallow. I've been thinking a lot, she finally said. I wasn't in a good place back then. Emotionally, I made the worst mistake of my life. I nodded slowly. You did. I don't expect anything. I just wanted to say, I miss who we were. Who you were. You were always kind. Steady. The only man I ever felt safe with. I turned to face her, arms crossed. You miss who I was. He doesn't exist anymore. She flinched. I don't know what I thought would happen, she said, voice trembling. Maybe that we could fix things. Start over. I let the silence stretch until it burned. Then I said, you think love is a fire you can walk away from and come back to when you're cold. But it doesn't work like that. She bit her lip. I just thought you might still care. I stepped forward. Let me be clear. I did love you. Fully. Faithfully. But love requires trust. And the moment you chose someone else over me, you broke the foundation. You didn't just hurt me. You destroyed the version of me that would have forgiven you. A tear slid down her cheek. I didn't mean for things to go so far. They always go far when people get selfish. She opened her mouth, probably to plead again, but I wasn't done. You want the truth? I said, you were never abandoned. You were rescued. From your own choices. Because now, you'll never wonder if I was the one that got away. You'll know it. Her hands trembled. Is there someone else? She asked, barely above a whisper. I didn't answer directly. I just smiled, calm, quiet, final. That house we bought together? Sold it. The proceeds funded the down payment on this one. My home. My peace. My future. And no, your name's not on anything. She swallowed hard. You were planning this, she whispered. No, I said. I was healing. And while you were crawling back hoping for mercy, I built a life you don't belong in anymore. She turned to leave, but paused. You won't even acknowledge the child? I met her gaze, firm and cold. Not mine. Not my problem. And with that, she left, for the last time. The porch felt warmer after she was gone. Like the weight had finally lifted. Some people walk away because they're lost. Others because they never planned to stay. But me? I stopped waiting for people to choose me. I chose myself.